Hello, I'm Linda Jo Martin, known as Book Lady on Booktube, and today I'm doing the coronavirus and coping tag. This tag came from a booktuber named Poptimist. I looked up his video today and I had never seen him before, but I'm subscribed now. His link is in the description of the video on YouTube. So there's 5 questions to this tag, and the first one is, where are you and what do your immediate surroundings look like? Well, I'm in the Klamath River Valley in Northern California. It's about 20 miles south of the Oregon border. I used to live here for 13 years before I moved to North Idaho. I lived in North Idaho for 6 years, and now I'm back in the Klamath River Valley, and there's a reason for that. It's the only place that I really feel is like my home. I came from the San Francisco Bay Area, and I guess you could say that that was my hometown, but I just don't feel any connection to it anymore. Most of my relatives have moved away. The only one still there is my son. My oldest son is still there, but everybody else has moved or died. My dad died in 2011. My mom died in 2017, but she was in Texas. So anyhow, my sister moved south, my brothers moved to Oregon, and I have 2 daughters on the East Coast, and a son and a daughter that live right here in town with me. I'm so excited that we're all together in one place for a while, although one of them is planning to leave as soon as he possibly can later this year, depending on when he can get a job in the place that he wants to go to. And yeah, I'll mention him again later in this video probably. I hope this is one of those tags where I can just sit around and tell you about my life aside from reading books, which is, of course, as you know, I am Book Lady, so of course I love to read books, but this particular video is just going to be about me talking about my life, apparently. So I'm here in the Klamath River Valley, and my immediate surroundings are a mobile home. So I came here last year in July. I was here for a while, and then I went back to Idaho and I cleared out my apartment. And then I came back here on October 12th, 2019, and got here into town about 6 p.m. and I've been here ever since, except for one trip out to Medford. So back in the place where I started, really happy to be here because it's like I know a lot of people in this town, and I have some very close friends here, so it's just the place for me. I went up to Idaho and I made a lot of close friends up there too, so now I'm torn between the 2 places, and I will go back to Idaho as soon as this coronavirus stuff is cleared up, but not permanently. I mean, I have attached myself to this piece of property here in the Klamath River Valley, and I will be coming back to it. So I'm right now in the living room of the mobile home, and the people who owned this place before painted it that beautiful color of teal that you see behind me in every video now, because it's my wall in my living room. It's like some of the walls in this mobile home are painted, and I think it looks really good. And then some of the other walls are just the 1970s cheap wall siding that they put up on all these mobile homes. So I'm going to have to go in and paint those, and I've already bought some paint. But I haven't done anything about it because I hurt my arm at some point, and now it's pretty much healed at this point, so I need to get busy and paint some more rooms. But okay, you wanted to know what my immediate surroundings are like. Now, when I moved into the mobile home, they had left a sofa in this room. And that's pretty much all that was in the room. They left the sofa and the curtains. So I did not like the sofa because it was one of those really low ones. And okay, I'm like almost 70 years old. Well, I'm 67 this year. And it's kind of hard to get up off of low sofas, so I don't want a low sofa. And Then, to be honest, I didn't want a sofa at all. So I decided that this was going to be, um, well, it's my decision what I want in my living room, right? So what I have in here is three of those 6-foot folding tables. And one of them has all of my art stuff on it. So that little table is my art studio. It's got a couple of lights over there, and that's actually most of the light that I'm getting for this video is from the lamps on my art table that are aimed over at me right now. And then there's 2 windows that are giving some light to the room because it's not dark yet. So then, okay, that's one table. The other 2 tables, I just got them a few days ago, and I put them together so it's sort of like a square area, and that's going to be for my sewing. I have a large area there for me to cut out fabrics, and I got my sewing machine out for the first time since I left Idaho and was able to sew something a few days ago. I'm pretty excited about that, believe me. What I need to sew right now is curtains for my van, because I have been living in a van since July of last year. I have to get the insulated curtains done. I did last winter while I was really cold and miserable in the van. I put most of the insulation up in the ceiling and the walls and all that, but I have not done the curtains yet. So I need to sew the curtains for the van, which would be 5 curtains, and one of them is especially large because it's for the space in between the cab and the rest of the van where I live. I have a nice television over there, and the tables, and then I have this area where I do my videos. And I'm kind of surrounded by books. I've got these white plastic boxes that I bought at Walmart, and they're surrounding this chair with books in them because if you follow my channel, you know I've been trying to organize my books, and I come here to talk about that. And I guess that's all I can say. The dining room is where I have my office. It's yet another one of those 6-foot folding tables. That's my office desk, and so I have no couch, and I don't particularly miss it. Sometimes I think it would be fun to have an easy chair just to curl up in to read books or watch TV, but I don't have one of those yet. I might someday get one. All I've got is this chair, and it's a folding chair that I bought while I was traveling in my van. It's a pretty nice folding chair. I really got this particular style of folding chair so that I could sit here and play the guitar. I thought it would be comfortable for that. Okay, enough of my surroundings. So number 2, what is the most unusual, abnormal thing you've done because of this? Well, I think the most unusual thing for me is that I have not been going to church, and I do love going to church every weekend, but now that I'm stuck here in my home, I can't go to church except online. Of course, I always like online church services. That's fine. But there is something very special about fellowship that I miss. And also, I was going to the book club here in this town, and I miss going to that. So what is my coping mechanism? I'm one of those people that doesn't get bored because I have a lot of hobbies. I have my art that I do. I have my computing, I do blogging, I have my reading, I have the YouTube, and I don't have time to get bored. I always have something to do. And now I've got gardening. Who knew that gardening would become such a thing for me, because I thought I was going to be living in my van, and instead I have like a half an acre that I have to maintain. And I really feel like I'm caretaking this property for God, because the earth and all that's in it is His, and here I have this half an acre, and it's my job to maintain it, and there's just a whole lot of lawn mowing, which I'm not used to doing, so I'm developing new muscles, and that's a good thing. I need some exercise, no doubt about it. So there's a lot of lawn, and there isn't much development here, except, people that lived here before have planted plants. I've got a big apple tree, a really big one, and lots of rose bushes and other flowers and bushes and trees. One day I went around the property and I counted how many trees I have here. I think there's like 11 or 12 trees on this property, and it was kind of blowing me away that I now own a bunch of trees. And also, I have to maintain this stuff. There's nobody else that's going to maintain it for me, although my son did try. Let me just go on to the next question here. Can you name something that has given you pleasure? And that goes back to my son that I started to talk about. Something that's given me pleasure is that my children have come over to see me. My daughter, a couple of times when this first started, I was afraid to go to the store, and she brought me groceries. I thought that was really nice, and I loved seeing her. And my son has been over here several times. He helped one day, came over and mowed the backyard with me. We had 2 lawnmowers going, and he did actually most of it, to be honest, but it was just really a blessing. And then he came back and gave me some gas for the lawnmower, and then on Mother's Day he came over and he put together a bench that I had bought from Amazon. So I think seeing my kids has given me the most pleasure. And then secondarily, the gardening that I do gives me a lot of pleasure. I love being out there in the yard. Where I lived in Idaho, I was in an apartment. I was in the 3rd floor of an independent living senior apartment building. That was really nice. It was a nice facility, and it was only a few years old, so I was grateful to have the place, and it was beautiful. But there's nothing quite like living close to the earth, and I wanted to come back here and live close to the earth again. I love being out in the yard and doing gardening. I may not be very good at it yet, but I'm trying. I try to get out there every day and do something. A little while ago, I was out in the front yard pruning the roses. I don't know much about pruning roses, but I guess I'm going to get a lot of practice here because there's a lot of rose bushes, and every one of them is different. It's kind of strange that there's not any color coordination there. It's like yellow, pink, orange, red, different kind of pink, and then I don't know, climbing roses. It's like I'm getting a rose education right now. And the other thing that gives me pleasure is the television set, which I had given away my television set when I was in Idaho. I think I already mentioned that. But then when I came here, I didn't have a TV, and I didn't particularly want one at first, but right before this coronavirus thing became an issue, I went to Medford with my son. We were doing some shopping so I could buy some things at Home Depot, and I decided to get a TV sort of like on the spur of the moment. So he went back and to look at all the televisions in Walmart, and I asked him to pick out the one he thought was best, and he picked out this TV. It's called a Vizio, because, well, once he pointed it out to me, it was so obvious that the picture was so much brighter and prettier than the other televisions. So check it out. If you're at a Walmart and you see a row of 20 TVs, go see if the Vizio TV doesn't look better. So I got a Vizio, and I'm pretty happy with it. And so during the coronavirus thing, I have been binge watching a bit, and the first thing that I binge watched was Lost. It's an old TV show that I had actually seen the entire thing. I binge watched it once before, but back around 2010, right after it had ended. There's like 6 seasons, I think. So I watched the whole thing over again. That was pretty good. And then I watched Broadchurch on Netflix. That was interesting. And then I watched The Stranger on Netflix, and that's kind of where I am with it right now. I haven't found anything else I want to binge watch yet, but maybe. It's kind of fun once in a while. I don't want to do it all the time because it does interfere with my reading time. And then the last question on this tag is, what is something you feel will never be the same after this? And my main issue is trust in foreign supplies, and I was appalled to find out that a lot of our medications are made in China. Why is China making our medications? Because if there was a war between the United States and China, do you think they'd keep sending us our medications? I just think that our medications should be made in the United States, just the way I feel about it. And because I am a little bit medication dependent now, I have high blood pressure, and that is really a concern for me because I heard that people that use ACE inhibitors, which is what I'm on, are more likely to have trouble with the coronavirus if you catch it. So I'm really concerned about that, and I don't know that I'm going to go back to normal for a long time. I think I'll just stay home until I'm absolutely sure the coronavirus is gone. And I don't really worry about it too much in this small mountain community because it hasn't really been an issue here. But you never can tell when somebody's going to leave the small mountain community and go out to Medford and catch it and bring it back to the small mountain community and spread it around. I mean, that happens. It happens with the flu every year. So I don't know if I'll ever go back to normal, but I do know that I want the medication manufacturers to make their medications in the United States for the people of the United States. And I have heard other people in the news mention this issue, and I hope something is done about it. So that's how I'm doing with coronavirus and coping. I'm having a good time. I was already kind of a hermit kind of person anyhow, so it doesn't really bother me to stay home. I get enough interaction with people just over the internet, and it's fine with me. Life's good. I went out to the store today. At the store we all have to wear masks and gloves, and it's kind of nice to walk around the store. And today a man said hello to me, and I wasn't sure who it was because he was wearing a mask. It was kind of a strange situation, and then I realized that he's my neighbor and also somebody that goes to the church that I was attending. So it's all good. I'm happy. Coronavirus, it's bound to go away sooner or later. So thanks for listening.